Hi, this is Nick Christopher from Mob Tales. Hope you guys are doing well. We're doing a little bit of a different kind of scenario today. Um, I'm in somewhere, incognito, so to speak, as you can tell from the background. So today we're going to be talking about gambling and the mob, which is nothing new. A lot of guys know that this has been around for years. Um, just on piggybacking on for our last show, which was with Stelios Matapis from PA, who ran a lot of bookmaking operations in Philly area. But today we're going to be talking about what's been going on lately, because the mob hasn't really been in the news too much. Hasn't been too much in the news in period. Very unless you look it up online on like my friend Eddie's website, causing the news. Otherwise, it's not really in the local media. But lately, there's been two major crackdowns on gambling rings. One run by Joey Perna from the Lucchese crime family, and we're dealing with college kids. Uh, you know, making scores with the bookmakers. Um, you know, getting information on games that are what's going to happen. So insider betting, so to speak. Same situation with the NBA with basketball players like Chauncey Billups and the Gambino, Bonanno, and Genovese crime families were involved. About 30 guys, I think, got pinched in that one. And the Joey Perna situation, which was pretty much a family affair, had Joe Perna, though Joe Perna Jr. I think their wives were involved, which is unheard of, very rare, because they were like filtering the money in some other different directions. So it was sort of like a $2 million take, and maybe more, on the with the Joey Perna and the college kids. With the other one, which was the NBA and the mob, that was like $7 million, 7 billion rather, something to that extent. Crazy amount of money. Um, so with the NBA one, these guys like Chauncey Billups, who's an NBA player, uh, brought in clients to these gambling games, these poker games, and blackjack games, so any kind of card games that were going on, and they were bringing in customers. Unbeknownst to them, they were being basically scammed. Once I think there was like $7 million of money that was taken from players uh, unknowingly to them. They had dice that was fixed. There were calling cards, all kinds of different aspects using machines, specifically interesting gadgets that were used to uh, find out what cards they have, so on and so forth, could help the other guys that were in on the scam. So it's pretty interesting how the mob is still doing old school ways of making money. Um, there was also an Asian woman, I can't remember her name right now at the top of my head, that was also involved. That pretty little Asian girl that was in during the games that was also um, bringing customers in, you know, to play games. These were high stakes card games, and which has always been something that's nothing new. If you saw like movies like Boiler Room, that's kind of like what it was about. These private games that nobody else kind of knew about. You had to be specifically invited to attend these games, especially if you were, had money to play. Um, but technically, the investigators, the FBI, so far as were able to crack down on both these different gambling rings that were raking in millions and millions of dollars. Joe Perner, who was a soldier in the Lucchese family, was in charge of the college scam game, um, where they were getting inside information on certain games and certain players, and some young college kids in their 20, like around 24, 25 years old, got in on this scam, which is a shame because, young guys that were in their college years shouldn't be doing things like this. So it's kind of a shame in that respect. But, I mean, the glamour, the money, no different than, going back to any other, mob history with young guys that are, you know, uh, how you say, taken in by this kind of thing. They see the money, they see the women, they see the cars, so to speak, and it's always enticing to be dealing with mob guys. So this gambling thing has been around, like I said, for many, many years, uh, going back to guys playing dice in the street. Well, like which I kind of did when I was a kid, where you see guys in the alleyways playing with dice. So it evolved from throwing dice in the alleyways to uh, private gambling dens like these ones. Um, the mob is always going to be dealing something like this because it's easy to deal, it's easy to work. Gambling has always been huge, like I said. The government, of course, is came up with the OTB, as we all know it, and now we got DraftKings. So people can gamble legally, but the thrill of sitting next to a mob guy playing in a private gambling game, card game, poker game, or would it be like the college years with Joe Perna, sports betting, which sports betting is what we discussed last week with Stelios Matepas. Sports betting is always going to be huge. But like with DraftKings, it's a different concept. You can still get, addicted, and it would be, you can get addicted in it for sure. But it is kind of more regulated, and it's a little more controlled. Where gambling dens like these guys run, it's not. They want to take as much money from you as they possibly can. So it's basically you're playing with fire, technically. Though it's gambling will always be a staple for the mob. Um, where other things like shaking down stores, that's all done. They don't do that anymore. As you can see in the Sopranos episode, where my boy out of Pasquale walked into a Starbucks with one of the twins from the Sopranos to shake a store down. Unknowingly to them, it's corporation owned. So shakedowns of stores are way over. That doesn't happen anymore. So loan sharking still to some degree, which is a equal partner when it comes to gambling dens. Gambling like this, I mean, big high stakes games. So gambling dens may not be around as much as they used to be, just like social clubs. They're all gone, pretty much. But as you can tell, the mob is still active, not to the same capacity that it was before, but it is still around. Uh, so when it comes to gambling like this, they are high stakes games with millions and millions of dollars involved. And the mob will always be opening things like this. And gambling in general, when you get busted for gambling, usually when you get pinched, it's not a huge uh, time you have to do in jail. Maybe 5 years, maybe seven. It's usually a 5 to 7 year bid. It's usually never more than that, unless there's other things involved like murder or some other uh, criminality that's involved with the gambling, which is very rare, unless somebody, you know, goes in, gets in hock for a lot of markers, and they don't pay up, and things can happen. But that's kind of rare, and murder is kind of rare in the mob in general, especially in America. Now I'm talking about overseas, Sicily, with the Calabria and then Grata or the Camorra. That's a whole different other ball game. And in Canada, of course, they're still crazy up there, whacking each other, though, because they're mostly Sicilian based. So the mob is still strong. It's just not what it used to be. So when it comes to gambling, you can look up all these stories with Joe Perna, the Gambino, Genovese, and Bonanno family with the NBA scandal, which has actually rocked the NBA in a very embarrassing way. When you got guys that are making $25 million a year, why would they even bother with something like this is beyond me and beyond a lot of people. People are kind of shocked. Guys like Chauncey Billups, who had a great career, made a lot of money. Why would he even bother with something like this? Again, it's the glamorization and the fascination of gambling with guys and being involved with them. So anyway, this is Nick Christophers. Thank you guys for checking in and listening to this interesting story that a lot of you guys probably would know about already because it's been out in the news. But I wanted a little hop on it a little bit, only because we're piggybacking off Stelios Mathepis' information about his sports betting in PA. So you can check out his show just last week. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for checking in this Sunday. Be well, God bless, and please like, share, and subscribe. Take care.